So next up, to give us an executive recap of the show so far, we're delighted to be joined by Wendy Griffiths, Senior Vice President of Membership and Global Development at CEDIA, and Sarah Joyce, Chief Global Officer at AVIXA. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Delighted, Ben.
How are you feeling? We're sort of end of day 3, day 4 is on the horizon. How's it been for you so far?
Really good. The adrenaline's strong and it's keeping me going, as it always is at these shows. And you just keep on your feet and look forward. It's been a great show. There's been so much going on.
Wonderful. Sarah, what about you?
Oh, I think you're just constantly getting energy from the people that you're meeting and the experiences of everything around you. You wake up at 6 a.m. and you think, oh my gosh, how? And then by 2 o'clock, you're just running on adrenaline. It's fantastic. We're back. It's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Would you mind sharing some of the sort of key standout moments for each of you so far at the show?
Yeah, for me it's all been about the content. Like most people, I'm an exhibitor here as well, so getting off the stand to actually see products is very hard, but there's been we know there's phenomenal products, that's what this show's about. But for me it's been about the content, the education, the keynotes, the Casa Batlló projection mapping was beautiful. Yeah. But I love the fact that we're using Barcelona as a canvas for the whole event. It's not just the Fira. It's actually the whole of Barcelona has embraced us and allowing us to use the whole of it to talk about what we do, which is so exciting.
And what's really interesting, you mentioned sort of like the inclusion of art and content creation. It's something that we've all been sort of looking to get more involved with, and what was really testament to that was I sent a clip of the AVIXA TV to one of my siblings who's an artist, and she said, yeah, you might find this, and she said, what is it that you actually do? Is it to do with art? Like, it all seems to be about art, which was it was a great compliment. It goes to show that we're really kind of hitting those spots. What about you, Sarah?
And
what are the
I
sort
think
of
that's
standouts?
exactly what we can talk about now in audiovisual.
Yeah.
How many times have we had those questions, what is AV? Well, we can point at things. And I think for me, building on Wendy's point, it is that intersection of the art and the technology that we're seeing, not just in the city, but here on the show floor. I can look around me and see beautiful displays, beautifully built stands, a lot of investment that's being made, but it's the content and the use of content and the innovation that really has ramped up enormously, even on last year, and I was blown away last year. I think the audio demo rooms have been wonderful to have, great excitement there. And the other thing for me, and particularly the content that we're both producing, the focus on sustainability. That's really important. I've seen booths described as being sustainable. We're talking an awful lot more about it. We've got a big program in AVIXA that's to come to do with it as well, to give support to members around that. So that, for me, is here now at the cusp of essential.
Yeah, definitely.
And this being my first show, I can't even imagine what it looked like 20 years before. Just seeing how far things have come with innovation and our technology. So Wendy, can you just share with me how ISE has evolved over these 20 years to where we are now?
I'm not sure my memory cells go back that far. So I've done 19 ISEs.
Okay.
And from what I remember back in Geneva that first year, turning up, and it was small stands full of product. It was a very continental Europe show, and it was all about audiovisual. Whereas now we are truly an international show. There are people here from all corners of the world. It's solutions based rather than products. That's been the big change. The embracing all the vertical markets. It's not just audiovisual. From the residential side, it's security, it's lighting control, HVAC control, energy management, all of that's coming into it, and I think we'll see a lot more of that coming forward. But obviously for the show in its entirety, the number of vertical markets that are impacted by audiovisual are all now covered at this show, and it's truly a one-stop shop for people coming along. And the crossover of functionality between the commercial and the residential has just grown in terms of that crossover over the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to mention as well. It's something I'm seeing more and more. I'm sure people are coming from the AVIXA side to the CEDIA stand. Certainly a lot of people from CEDIA are coming to the AVIXA stand talking about how they want to learn more about the other side of things. And I think that is because there's so much crossover now and the industries are coming closer together. And I mean, talking of relationships, I'd love to ask you, Sarah, how the sort of relationship between the show and the associations has evolved over the last 20 years.
Absolutely. Well, I think if you look, here we are sitting in our studio on our show floor, on the booth, and the integration of the associations with content is the particular thing that delights me. We both provide content for the show, and it enables us to be able to be dedicated to the areas that we know our members need to know about and this audience needs to know about. And so that is a huge benefit. The integration of our member events and activities, the fact that we're able to broaden reach and use the show in that way. And ISE is so important to do that. We, of course, AVIXA have a portfolio of shows, but to bring that global community here to ISE, you can't beat it. We've had events here. We've had the Women's Council for the DACH region. We've had the Women's Council for Italy. We've got a group for Germany going on at the moment. And we've had groups from India. It's just that ability for us to be able to use a platform like this from the member benefit and the commercial opportunity that there is here on the show floor.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful platform to expand that global presence. You just walk down the hall and you're just meeting people from everywhere. So what kind of initiatives are we looking at in terms of targeting a new audience and new communities, whether it be from an ISE perspective or from our association standpoint?
So I think for me, there's a couple of areas specifically, and we've started those discussions actually here at this show. I think from a content point of view, we'll continue to evolve, as Sarah's touched on already, the importance of sustainability. We're hosting a sustainability workshop tomorrow. We had a sustainability presentation on the live stage today as well. That's going to continue to evolve and become much more important. AI, matter, all those sort of things from a residential sector. But in terms of the visitors to the show, we've had meetings today with the Dean of the Interior Design Council from Catalonia region. We met yesterday with the architects as well. They're really interested to see what's possible out here, both from a commercial and residential perspective. So I think bringing that community in and providing content that's relevant to them, what sort of technology conversations should they be having with their clients, what are the AV needs of their clients, and how can we address that in terms of education and content for those sort of people.
Wonderful, wonderful. And maybe from the association standpoint?
I think very much that continuing content, obviously, and continuing our workforce development focus. We've got the big Talent Day event taking place tomorrow. That matching of young students, universities that we're working with here across Spain, and jobs that they're looking for, putting them in front of employers will continue. That's very important. And I think particularly that area where we're able to look at the new audiences that we need to bring to our exhibitors here in IT. For me, that's core. Our worlds have been integrated for many, many years, and the ability to be able to attract that IT audience, the end users, the buyers, to understand what this world is, how they intersect, and to bring that additional buying power into the show and to the exhibitors. That, for me, is a big focus. And you know that we have education and training now to be able to offer those groups. So that would be my next 2-3 years. 20 years, then we're going to be in an entirely different world, Samantha. But give me that for the next 2.
Okay.
Good stuff. Well, that was actually going to be my next question, was what are our hopes and dreams for the next 20 years of ISE? Because, I mean, this is the 20th anniversary of ISE, and it's incredible to see how far it's come. What do we hope for in the next 20? Maybe not the whole of it, but just the next few.
Well, I think Sarah's pretty much covered a lot of that, but 20 years, as she said, is really hard to say. If you look from a show and where this was 20 years ago to where it is now, you can't imagine those sort of leaps and bounds for the show in the next 20 years. but we didn't anticipate that 20 years ago. And if you look at how the technology has evolved in the last 20 years, we don't really have that crystal ball. We always talk about it from a residential perspective, is you can't future-proof. You can future-ready by getting the infrastructure in place. And I think that's the key thing with this show, is ensuring that we're building the right infrastructure and blocks to support whatever those vertical markets are that we want to evolve into.
Absolutely. I mean, one more day of the show. Can your feet handle it?
They'll have to.
They'll have to, yes, exactly. I don't know.
Get around it, just
maybe
maybe get the running shoes on.
Yeah, maybe organise some sit-down meetings
I think so.
rather than standing on boots.
We don't really want to hear from Ben. He doesn't know how to do heels. So.
I think get the running shoes on. I think
Still got the heels on.
Yes.
Day 4.
Thank you so much indeed
Thank you.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you both. We really appreciate it.